Alright, it looks like Naoki, Hamaguchi, and Square Enix will be attending this year's Gamescom Opening Night Live. And they're not coming alone. They're bringing Final Fantasy VII Revelation with them. So what could we expect to see at this show? That's what we're going to break down in today's video. So if any of that sounds cool to you, feel free to click the like button. And if you're new here and you'd like to stick around, you can subscribe. And if you are excited for Revelation, or maybe you're just having a really good day, you can hype up the video. It is always greatly appreciated when you guys do that. Any one thing helps out a ton. Alright, before we jump into it, make sure to let me know in the comments down below what you guys are hoping to see from Revelation at this year's Gamescom Opening Night Live. And we start off first with Square Enix, who will be showing up with playable builds of Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth, Final Fantasy XIV, Final Fantasy X and X-2 HD Remastered, which recently got its Switch 2 release, as well as Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. Now, you're probably wondering, could Revelation get a playable demo at this event? Honestly, I would not be shocked if it does. Hamaguchi's been really hyping up the game quite a bit in recent interviews. They're in the polishing stage. He said recently that the game feels really good and he's incredibly confident in what they've been able to produce. And they're trying really hard to get Revelation at as many events as they possibly can, whether it's trailers and info or playable form. So that includes Gamescom, Tokyo Game Show, PAX West, the Game Awards, but not playable, and then probably most major events happening early next year. You can expect to see Revelation there. So I would be kind of shocked if they don't have a playable demo, although it could be a situation where they do have a playable build, but it's something that they show off to journalists and influencers kind of behind closed doors like they did with 7 Remake way back in the day. So either way, I think we're going to get some sort of hands-on impressions maybe with the game. Unless they feel maybe it's too early, but they are polishing, they're pretty close to finishing it up, and with Hamaguchi being so confident, I think he just really wants people to experience it for themselves as soon as possible. Now, what could we expect from ONL, the main stage show? Well, Hamaguchi is going to be there, and they're not just going to fly out Hamaguchi to reveal a new trailer. I'm under the impression that there will also be something else, like a stage demo or some sort of gameplay mechanics trailer to go along with a brand new story trailer. Now, starting off with that story trailer, what could we see? More environments. We've seen a lot of Wutai so far, a lot of Mideel, but I'm actually hoping that we see some areas from Rebirth because we know they're going to be pretty different. So I'd love to see the Grasslands, Cosmo Canyon, Gungaga, Nibelheim. I really want to see how different these areas are now that the Black Materia has been activated early. The whole life stream and the ground is changing. Are the Remnawave towers going to behave the way they did in Rebirth? What kind of other mechanics and Chocobo stuff could we do? Is there going to be like hidden materia caves that they'll showcase? Summon caves? Who knows? But I really want to see more environments, whether they're the returning ones or the new ones like Rocket Town. Or maybe even the Icicle Inn stuff, which could be placed later in the second half of the game, which leads to there's going to be a lot of stuff they're not going to be able to show in this trailer with context because there's a pretty big event that happens in this portion of the story of FF7. Spoiler alert for those who haven't played the original, but we lose Cloud. So myself and a lot of other people are kind of under the impression that the first few hours of this game are probably going to be a roller coaster where we go after Sephiroth and all things just kind of go to hell and break down, and that's when we lose Cloud. And then there will be a pretty significant portion where we will just have a cloudless party. Eventually we will get him back, so a lot of the Cloud footage is going to be kind of interesting to dissect to kind of figure out, is this pre-livestream Cloud or is it post-livestream Cloud? So they kind of do have to walk a bit of a tightrope with the story stuff. But I would expect they probably want to focus a little bit more on the exploration stuff, some more combat, and just kind of sprinkle in the story things here and there. So maybe more weapon stuff. And I'm hoping that we actually get a decent chunk of Sephiroth stuff. He is being voiced by a new voice actor by the name of Travis Willingham, and we've only heard Travis pretty much utter one line, and it was just his voice. So I'm really hoping we have the opportunity to see Sephiroth speaking and hear Travis's voice coming out at the same time, so our brains can make that connection of, oh, this is Sephiroth now. That's what he looks like with this voice coming out of his mouth. I think it might just kind of alleviate some, worry some people have. So we just need to hear a little bit more and just see Sephiroth doing stuff and talking to Cloud just to get a better sample size of how Travis is going to sound as Sephiroth, speaking more than just one sentence. Now, what about a release date? It might still be a little bit too early to announce a firm release date, so they might just keep with the release window of spring 2027. A release date, if it's too early now, they might not have one at Tokyo Game Show, so I think if we don't get one at those two shows, the Game Awards is probably going to be the best bet of actually getting a release date. And hopefully by then we'll also have more information on whether or not Revelation will get a physical disc. We're all hoping it will. Hamaguchi's fighting pretty hard to get Revelation a physical disc, and it's something that he really wants to see. And with this potentially being the last big Final Fantasy VII to release before discs stop being manufactured, it would be really nice to have this beautiful swan song with a trilogy that all have discs, whether it's 2 discs, 3 discs, 4 discs. Just let me have my discs. I'm willing to pay for it. Just let me do it. I'm willing to give you guys human monies. Let me have my discs, please. Now, like I mentioned earlier, Hamaguchi will be there. He ain't just going to be there for a story trailer, so I'm also expecting some sort of stage demo or some sort of gameplay mechanics trailer, which could showcase a lot of stuff. But I think maybe the big thing they might want to focus on would be showcasing exploration. Hamaguchi's been talking a lot about trying to find ways to balance guiding the player while also allowing them to have that player freedom. And the example he used was the Highwind, where you're overlooking the Highwind and you can see all these locations and they have their markers so you know where they are. And once you jump out and you get closer to the ground, those markers then disappear. So it's basically up to you to memorize this world map and figure out where everything is. So I think exploration as well as the Highwind and how all of those mechanics are going to work in sync would be a really great demo showcase, just letting us know this is the Highwind, this is how you operate it, these are some of the areas inside, because we know just a smidge, like Chadley's going to be there, he's researching the black materia, we know we're going to have a crew, I believe Chocobo stables will still be on the Highwind, but getting to see how it works, how we can customize it, and how that leads into us jumping out into the open world and navigating, I think would be a smart thing to show off, because a lot of us are curious to see how that exploration from a gameplay standpoint really evolves from Rebirth. You can also expand more on areas again if they want to bring back areas that we already explored from Rebirth, like the grasslands, to showcase just how different they are. I could totally see them doing that, but also maybe pairing it with more exploration of a newer zone, like Wutai, really diving in, seeing what's changed, maybe some of the shops, some of the story stuff that could happen there, and some of the enemies. So pairing an old area that is refreshed with a new area, I think would be really cool, and is something that I've been wanting to see for quite some time now. And obviously, you gotta show off some combat stuff, right? So maybe they'll show off some more fits, maybe some of the newer outfits that could be unlockable for the characters. We've seen Cloud get fits, Tifa, Barret, Kate Sith, but if I remember correctly, the characters that we haven't seen in fits yet are Red 13, Sid, Vincent, and Yuffie. So maybe they want to showcase the fits for those characters at this presentation to show how they then change in terms of gameplay. That would be really cool to see. Also, do they decide to do things like triple synergies, triple techs, or some sort of synergy limit? I know Hamaguchi was saying that he thinks that the combat from Rebirth is perfect. I would agree with him, and their way of evolving it and keeping it fun and fresh and not stale is the fits system. But I'm still curious, would they go a little step further and allow us to do those triple techs, those triple synergies with all 3 members of our party, or some sort of big limit break group attack? I think there is still room to do that while also expanding on the fits. Something else I would love to see expanded on are the summons. So if you go back to that reveal trailer we got at Summer Game Fest, as well as the gameplay overview, summons seem to be a little bit different because they seem to have some sort of stat boosting effect that they're associated with. So looking at the trailer, first off, Cloud seemingly either has 3 summons that he can equip, or they changed it to where you can access each character's summon at once. So that way when the summon becomes active, let's say you want to use Tifa's summon, you don't have to switch to Tifa in the menu or on the field as the character. Maybe you just get access to all that stuff at once now. But looking at the summons menu, Magic Pot is there, and it has an icon that's green that seems to have a heart. So maybe Magic Pot has that healing factor or some sort of health boosting or stat boosting property, which is what that could mean. Funny enough, they do describe what Ifrit's stat boost is. He does extra stagger damage. That's what that little orange icon with the shuriken looking thing means. And Titan has an arrow pointing upwards with a blue background, which maybe means he launches enemies into the air, or maybe that gives the characters the ability to then launch enemies into the air easier, or some sort of like unique synergy ability with the summon, which would be pretty cool. Like if you summon Titan, you get an exclusive move that Cloud can pull off with Titan that launches the enemies into the air. I don't know. Those icons are interesting, and I hope that they expand upon those sooner, because my mind's just like, I don't know what that is. And I would really like to know what those icons mean. Something else you could do, they did this already in the first gameplay overview, but they did focus on Vincent and Sid, but I think there is a little bit more room to expand upon those characters, specifically with Vincent. So we know Vincent's going to be insane. You can turn into the Galleon Beast at the press of a button, that button being triangle. So much like Yuffie throws her shuriken at will with triangle, apparently we can transform with the triangle button. But it makes me wonder if there's some sort of trade-off. Is that something you kind of have to build up to? Because looking at Vincent's status bar, he does have a red circle with a number in it, and it looked like the number 1 from what I can remember from that trailer. So maybe there are different levels to the Galleon Beast, or maybe there are different charge levels that you have to reach before you can then just transform at will in battle. That stuff is very interesting. So I would really love a deeper dive into old Vincenzo to see just how his mechanics will actually work and how we can pull them off, because it seems a little too good to be true, in my opinion, being able to transform into the Galleon Beast. So either the beast will be a bit nerfed, or there's some sort of mechanic behind it that kind of balances things out a little bit more. Other characters you could showcase, Red 13 and Cait Sith. They were brand new to the party in Rebirth, and from Remake to Rebirth, characters like Cloud and Tifa, Barret, Aerith, all got some sort of rework with their combat. So I'm curious to see what reworks they give to Red 13 and Cait Sith. I'm wondering if maybe they'll turn Red more into like a support kind of character. Once you kind of wrap your head around his mechanics, he is very fun to use, but I still kind of found myself not quite sure like what his role was in combat. But then again, the fit system could just kind of alleviate all of that, and you can just make Red into whatever you want. But I'm curious to see how he and Cait Sith change in terms of moveset. I'm also curious, the voice. I had no issue with either of Red's voices, but I know predominantly most people prefer the, as Red 13 refers to it, the intellectual shtick, the deeper, more serious voice. So I'm curious to see how they balance that out as well. Does Red talk more in that voice in this one? Does he, abandon his younger voice, maybe with the Black Materia being summoned, and he realizes, I gotta grow up sometime, so he decides to mature and change his voice? That might be kind of weird. But I'm curious to hear more of Red, but I really, really want to see how those mechanics for those characters could change, because I'm expecting them to get some sort of rework, whether it's a big one or a small one. So maybe Red 13 and Cait Sith could be more support roles. We did lose Aerith, who was like the biggest support character in that game because she was so good with her magic. We have no mage. We do have the fit system again that has black mage. We don't know if white mage is going to be there, but there are ways to kind of mess around with that. But I'm just curious to see that rework. How do they change those characters? Now, another character that I would like to see show up, and this refers to the story trailer as well as gameplay, and that's Zack. Zack is like the biggest question mark in this game so far, because we don't know what his role is. We don't know where he even is. Is he in the same world as the main party? Is he in another world? What's his role exactly going to be? Because Hamaguchi says that Zack will have a much bigger role to play in Revelation. So I think that would also include his combat, which was fleshed out quite a bit in Rebirth, even though you only get to use him for a small amount, as well as in the VR challenges. So I'm curious to see how they rework Zack, if at all. What kind of gameplay sequences is he going to have, and do they even showcase that in the trailer? So that's something I would really love to see too, is Zack, those mechanics, but how he's going to be incorporated into the story moving further. And the last thing that you could potentially end this whole showcase with, teasing with another weapon. At the end of Summer Game Fest, we saw Sapphire weapon. Its fin was damaged, but then it just matrix dodges out of the way of a cannon blast, avoiding what should have been a fatal shot. So it could just be some clever editing, and maybe they fire the cannon again, and they do take out Sapphire, or the weapons are now aware of what happened in the OG FF7, maybe by Sephiroth, or maybe the planet itself is sending them images, much like Cloud was receiving images when he was near the white materia, or perhaps even the planet may have been sending him stuff too. So you could tease maybe some new weapon stuff, maybe show off Diamond Weapon. We didn't see Emerald Weapon at all. Emerald might not be part of the main story. That might just be like a side quest boss thing that they do, but you could showcase those weapons and maybe even, and this might be going too far, tease a little bit of combat with the big weapons, not the baby ones that we saw in the previous trailer. I'm talking the big boys, Ruby, Emerald, Sapphire, Diamond, Ultimate. That's what I would really love to see. So maybe, you know, wet the whistle a little bit, tease us with a weapon, Hamaguchi. We all want to see it.
Give me what I want!
And we're all curious about the story implementation of the weapons now because of that shot of Sapphire dodging the pretty big blast from the Sister Ray. But with that being said, those are my thoughts and ideas of what I hope to see from Revelation at this year's Gamescom Opening Night Live. Again, I'm expecting a trailer, Hamaguchi being there. I would expect some sort of gameplay overview or demo to be shown off. So I'm crossing my fingers that we get some really cool stuff. I'll be covering it, giving my reactions here on the channel as well. And before you go, if you would like to check out some of my other videos, I recently checked out a really awesome preview for Onimusha Way of the Sword, which I cannot wait for. That game looks incredible. And I just recently played through Chapter 2 of Before Crisis Within Ever Crisis, which was a lot of fun. A lot of crazy stuff happened in that one, so I'll leave links to those in the description and this video. And with that being said, that's the video. That was pretty fun. I feel like it's been a while since I've made this type of video where we're in the lead up to a really cool event. We're waiting for a brand new Final Fantasy game in the 7 remake series, and we're just kind of throwing stuff at the wall, talking about what we hope to see, what might be there, what we want to see. It just kind of is taking me back to the build up to Rebirth being announced and how fun it was to make videos at that time, because my channel was super small. It's still pretty small now, let's be honest. But no one was really watching, and then I was just kind of making videos on things I wanted to talk about and things that I thought were interesting and just kind of fun to do. So it's bringing me back to my youth, so to speak. With that being said, I'm Curious Corduroy. I will see you guys in the next video. Please remember to always be excellent to one another.